What's up, guys, and welcome back to Paint Bravely, the podcast where you can find a little bit of encouragement, discover new ways to make your hobby more fun, and most importantly, learn to paint bravely. Now, today we have a pretty fun episode. We're going to talk about speed painting. But, of course, before we get to that,
Speed paint.
what have you been up to since we talked last, Brent?
Okay. Like a day after we talked last, I got something in the mail. It's pretty special. These are some paintbrushes, and they are special because they are the ones that Sam Lenz uses, the cheap ones that he buys at Hobby Lobby or wherever he gets them. Now these are...
Pretty sure you get some from there, yeah.
They're synthetics. They are, I'll read them off to you here, XsMAX, S-A-X, Golden Taklon Optimums. And they are, I don't know, they're like 50-cent brushes, depending on how big they are. And they're really, they're for base coating, essentially. So they're big, fat brushes that still have a pretty good tip to them. And so you can kind of start just laying down the big, meaty base coats. And because it does have a pretty good tip on it, you can get pretty far into the details, actually, using just this one big brush. And, you know, this line of paintbrushes has a bunch of different sizes and styles, but I'm using the rounds and just one of the bigger size rounds, like size 4, 6, 8. Actually, just today I was using a size 8, and I got a good deal of work done with this big, beefy brush. And it's nice because it holds more paint. You don't have to go back to the palette as often. And it's a good way to get a lot of the base coating done for a 50-cent brush or whatever it is. So
Yeah. That's been the brush that's kind of gone around that, you know, Sam Lenz talked about. And I still haven't tried them. I've seen them at Hobby Lobby. I still haven't picked them up. I mean, they are super cheap. I think the size that he talks about or that people end up using is, I think it's the size 4.
Sure.
Which is a big brush.
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, if it's got a good point on it, then yeah, that's gonna go a long way. Yeah.
Yeah, for shipping cost reasons. So I didn't order from Hobby Lobby. The place I found online was like a school supply website or something. But you
Okay.
Google XsMAX Optimum Golden Taklon and just see what's selling it at what prices. And they were selling 6 packs of whatever size you wanted. And the 6 packs were, I don't know, $4 for 6, depending on the size. But it was free shipping if you got. I'm trying to think now. I think I might have ordered $50 of these, but whatever, it's worth it. Or I was hoping it was worth it. I was counting on it being worth it.
Hopefully they're good. That's pretty great though.
Yeah, so I got
I
just went down the menu and got at least 1 pack of each of the sizes. I think I did remember that size 4 was kind of what gets talked about a lot. So I bought, a couple packs of size 4, and I just got a little bit of everything else. But even as you go up in size, like I said, I've got a size 8 here in my hand, and it has a meaty belly, but it does come to a point there. Pretty nice looking point. So hey, there you go. That's what's new with me. I got some cheap brushes in the mail, different from my ordinary cheap brushes.
Right. You use synthetic brushes for pretty much everything, don't you?
Pretty much everything, yeah. And I used to have a go-to like Walmart pack of brushes, just the variety pack of folk art brushes that were in the arts and crafts section of Walmart. Not the $2.99 pack. You go for the $3.99 pack. We've talked about this before, but it's a situation where you get a variety in that pack. You get your 7 or 8 different brushes in there, and I like about 3 or 4 of the sizes in there, and I'll use all of them eventually. But it is nice to just say, I want a 6 pack of size 4 XsMAX Optimum Golden Taklon. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. I'm gonna have to try at least those, the size 4s. Like for a while there, I was buying size 2s from Hobby Lobby. It was some other brand, but it was like a $2 brush or something, and those were doing me pretty good for a while.
Nice.
They crap out after, a couple weeks or whatever, but, um, I still have some laying around, like, I use for just mixing in the airbrush and stuff now.
Mhm.
And if you splay them out enough, then they work alright for small dry brushes, so
Yeah, that's the
yeah, if anything, buying the cheap air or cheap paintbrushes, like, they're gonna get used for something eventually.
Oh, absolutely. That's definitely my philosophy. And like I said, I got these about 13 days ago, so I don't know exactly how long they last. I've been trying to do more painting, but I haven't worn through one of these yet.
Mhm.
And actually, I got a variety, and they actually don't really like the size 2s or the size 1s that I got. They actually have a worse point than like the size 8s do. So,
Hmm.
live and learn. But the big beefy ones, yeah, great. And actually, a year or two ago now, I took a class with Sam Lenz, and as part of the class, he gives you like something to use as a palette. He gives you a paper plate. He gives you a cup of water. And he gives you a size 4 Sax Optimum Sam Lenz broadsword painting brush.
Right.
And I remember at the time I was like, oh yeah, this is what Sam's been talking about, and I like saved that one brush. Like I need to
Right.
remember this. I need to reverse engineer where he got this from, and that's gonna be the secret.
Mhm.
And now here we are. So, all right, I'll pass it back to you. What's new with you, Casey?
Let's see. So, I finally finished that orc army that I've been talking about for, like, the last month and a half. Yeah, I finally sat down, um, and just did it all. I did the whole thing. Yeah, and I'm feeling pretty good about that. It's been on my mind for a long time to have a 40K orc army. So it's kind of a weird thing. It's done. I don't know what to do next. I'm lost.
Where is it right now? Is it on your shelf, or does it have a place of
Yeah, so it's
honor?
actually on the other side of the camera. It's not in a place of honor really, because I had to move the army so I could start a new video because it was on the desk behind me,
Yeah.
and I was like, "All right, done with the army," and it kind of shoved it off, and it's just sitting on like the top of a bookshelf. Um, but yeah, I don't know, it's a weird thing. Like it's done, and now I have to move on, but it's there, and I don't know what to do with it. Like I want to play a game, um, and I was actually talking to Matt, our editor, and we were talking about doing some 40K. So I'm kind of hoping we get to do that at some point. I still haven't gotten an Indomitus box, so I don't have the rule book. I mean, I know it comes in other books and stuff or other boxes, but yeah, I still haven't done that. So maybe that's next time. I'll get a 40K rule book.
How many videos did you get out of the Dork Army? Because I know you did like some conversions
Mm.
with 3D printing, and you definitely did that big paint up there with Squid Mars.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was the one I finished the army in. I think four videos for the one army. Yeah, because it was 3D printing conversions, and then it was 3D printing and basing, and then testing, like testing color schemes and different things you can do, and then the finale, and it was the last week in October, so I tried to go out strong this year.
Wow, that's really good. That's really good. I
Yeah.
actually finished painting an orc today, but
Ooh,
we're now in
oh, a
November.
big
We're
orc.
recording early morning of November 3rd is
Yeah,
when we're recording here. It's all
but
right. I'll save them for
anyway,
next October.
yeah, there you go. Just put him in a drawer. It'll yeah, you bring him out when
Or
he's
just
ready.
publish a video like halfway through November with Orktober, hashtag Orktober.
I like that so much
Yeah,
better. Just like it's not over.
it's over when I say it's over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, so did the orc army. Um, kind of just cleaned up my hobby space. Like I said, just moved the army, got ready for some new stuff, cleaned up all sorts of stuff, and just kind of getting myself reset after doing all of that work.
Yeah, I imagine you
So
just got like shards of bases everywhere, and what else?
yep.
Like half finished. Because I know like a lot of those orcs that you got were kind of messed up and damaged. How many of them
Mhm.
just weren't salvageable, or you were left with like half a
I got them
torso
all.
or
No,
some?
I got them all.
Oh,
Fixed
okay.
them all.
Ooh,
Yeah,
ooh.
man. The honestly, like I made that 3D printing video about like this is probably the greatest hobby tool ever,
Mm-hmm.
and like I wasn't. I mean, I was a little bit exaggerating, for YouTube sake, but I mean, I was kind of being serious. Like I didn't have extra orc arms. I didn't have extra torsos. I didn't have heads. I didn't have any of this stuff. And half of the models that I got were just broken. So it's like, okay, well, I sized out a kind of a funky arm and then put a gun in there, or like I made this arm and then attached a giant power claw hand to it, in a 3D program and printed that out and stuck it on a guy. And it's like all of the pieces that are extra on the army were just printed out. And it's like I didn't have to do any of the extra work or spend the extra money and time and all this stuff to get all of those pieces, and it looks super unique,
Sure.
so it was kind of a big deal for me.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I may do kind of a similar project, just the small marines that I already own. I may search my
Hmm.
entire collection and just pull together all the small marines I own and see what kind of a force I can make out of that.
Yeah.
I know I have a lot. I know that as a younger man, I bought some fresh, brand new from the store, small marines, and those are in pretty good shape. And I also know that every eBay purchase just has a squad of small marines thrown in
Right.
there as a little extra. So
Yeah, I've got probably a dozen or so, like in varying levels of disrepair, that are just were included in some rando box from eBay.
yeah, the shoulder pads are on like 180 degrees wrong.
Right. Like the arm should not be in that, like something is wrong
Oh yeah,
physically with the marine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they look a little bit like the footmen from Warcraft 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
It almost makes sense in some people's minds to have the shoulder pads the other way around, and so some of them definitely get hot glued in that position. So yeah,
Right.
hey,
Yeah.
sometimes rescuing stuff from eBay can be fun, but you know that.
Yeah. Someday I'm gonna do a video specifically about hot glue, because it is the most dangerous thing about like buying models on eBay. Like if there's hot glue and you can see it, you need to just stay away, because it is so much more work than it needs to be.
That's going to be your whole video. Is
Yeah.
okay. Hey, I mean
I
that's
don't
that's
know.
important
Just
information that
light all
needs
the
to get
models
out
on
there to the
fire.
people. That's going to save some folks a lot of money
Yeah.
and a lot of time, a lot of hassle.
I'd say so. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Well,
Yeah.
I guess the next steps are you could think about like what models you actually want for that army and like go hunting for, some cool
Hmm.
centerpieces or whatever. Get the get the
It's a
new
weird
Gazagul.
feeling, man. I thought about it because I got the old one,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what me and Squidmar painted up, as our focus. But yeah, that new one, because there's three of them, right? There's the old one, then there's kind of like a middle, like 10 years ago one came out, and then the new one that just came out. So I thought that'd be kind of cool to have like all of them together. It'd be nice.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah,
I'll file that idea away
someday.
for later for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a super weird feeling to have like I have other completed armies, but I don't really feel the need to go out and add to them. Like I have an Iron Jaws army. It's like nothing's come out for Iron Jaws. But orcs are just they've been around for so long for 40K. There's just so much to choose from.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of overwhelming.
Yeah, and plus it's encouraged to make your own vehicles and stuff for those guys. So there is always a new orc project that you can do.
Yeah.
Always,
Well, it's what is
always.
the saying that every kit is an orc kit?
Yes,
Yeah.
very true.
I like that saying a lot.
Yeah, well, congratulations on finishing that army. You think about what's next, but very
Mm,
well done. Be proud, be proud.
thank you.
Someday I'll finish an army and you can congratulate me. Don't you have a
Yeah.
corn army you still need to do? Or did you do that while I wasn't looking?
Yeah. I haven't done that yet. So I have a box and I have an entire Corn Demons army with like I think it's 80 or 90 bloodletters. Yeah. There's a lot. And I haven't even like I opened it and kind of went through it a little bit. But I haven't really I don't know, checked it out enough to know how much work it's going to be. I think it's probably going to be quite a bit cuz someone previously that bought it previously um stripped the whole army and they resold it as a project. Here's a project lot on eBay. But I paid a cool $100 for that army, and it is gigantic. So
Someday,
yeah,
someday.
it's there.
Yeah, it's gonna
Like
be
it's
good.
right behind me in a box.
Yeah.
So
All right.
yeah,
I've got one more update to sort of brag about here, but I started in
sweet.
on the hobby streak on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
So just
Okay.
hashtag hobby streak, and then the idea is that you do a little bit on your hobby every day. And if
Mm-hmm.
you really just make that a habit and make it, part of your routine that I got to do something for my hobby today so that I can post hashtag hobby streak day 15, whatever. And of course, the person I know who's really gone all in on this is Dana Howell, and she's on
Mm-hmm.
day 600 and something now.
Yeah, it's up
Yeah, I
there.
think she's at
It's
like
way up there.
650 something or 660 something. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
up there. And yeah, I mean, we've talked about this before of how do you make your hobby part of your day, and well, here's one little gimmick that we'll see if it works. But so far, I'm actually, as of this recording, I'm 2 weeks in.
Nice.
So if you check out my Twitter, I don't know how to use Twitter, but I know how to post like a
But you're
bad
tweeting.
photo and hashtag hobby streak, and then try to remember what number day I'm on, and I type that number in.
Right.
Yeah.
You know the secret to doing that? Just use Instagram.
So, man, okay, here's a whole different topic, but I'm kind of getting like a hierarchy of social media pages.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously YouTube is the one that I care about, and like I try not to post like low quality videos ever. I'm not cluttering up the YouTube channel with anything
Sure,
subpar.
sure.
And then we got this channel. We got a separate channel to just yammer at each other, and
Mm-hmm.
we try to make it decent, but we know what this is. We know what this is.
Yeah, we know what this is.
And then on my hierarchy, next is Instagram, which, man, when I started the YouTube channel, I go and look at Scott Miniac, and he's got in his description box for his videos, he's got like 10 different platforms, just going down the
Yeah.
list. And just like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's what YouTubers do. I gotta get in all these. I'm like, all right, I'll
Right.
learn one at a time. And so like a year ago, I put Instagram on my phone, and like I still don't understand how to make a story on Instagram, but it is not important. It's not important. I know how to like every once in a while post a picture, and I
Mm-hmm.
try to be like a little bit careful about that. Like try to post nice pictures, like not just flood. I'm not doing it every day, like work in progress for the for the
Sure,
sake of
sure.
posting something. Um,
Yeah.
I've actually like unfollowed a few of those. It's just like, oh, I've seen enough of this half
Yeah.
finished whatever it is. Like, you
Yeah, yeah.
so in my mind, like Instagram is the one where I'll post like one or two pictures or one or two posts, maybe with multiple pictures of each project. Maybe an
Mm-hmm.
occasional like silly picture of some cats doing something annoying. Like, but on the whole, curated a little bit. Um,
Okay.
There was a time, a month or two back when Dwarven Forge was like, "Hey, you want to do a video for us?" I'm like, I don't have time for that, but make an Instagram post. Like that's going down the hierarchy. Like, yeah, I could take a picture of that, throw that. Yeah, sure, sure, sure.
Yeah.
And now Twitter. Like I have like learned how to use Twitter 14 days ago, and
Okay.
I know how to do
And that's how
hashtag
long your hobby streak
streak. Yeah, by the time you all are listening to this, it'll be 21 days ago, hopefully. And hopefully I'll be on Hobby
Yeah.
Streak Day 21 and not like Hobby Streak Day 3 as I restart or something
Right.
like that. But, yeah.
Yeah. No, you got it, man. I mean, what else are you gonna be doing? You gotta do more hobby. You gotta make those videos. Come on.
I guess where I was going with this is I'm actually kind of enjoying it. So again, Twitter,
Okay.
I'm putting on my hierarchy of just like I'm putting a post every day, even if it is just a work in progress shot of something that I've made, 2 extra coats of base coats on there, an extra 30 minutes or an hour of extra base coating on this model. That's going up on Twitter. Have fun with that, Twitter folks.
Yeah.
Make sure to follow and retweet me at GT_hobbies. I got a funny picture of myself, and there's like some cat drawings in the background, and good
Was
stuff on there.
Goobertown Hobbies too long?
I think it was actually. I think by like one character. So I did set up a couple of accounts on various social media platforms when I first started the channel. I'm like, I better reserve these names at least. And I think, Goobertown Hobbies was like 1 or 2 characters too long. Like GT Hobbies, GT_hobbies. Yeah. You got a Twitter, Casey?
I would. Yeah. I don't even remember what it is. I think it's at eBay Miniature Rescues. I'm pretty sure, but that seems pretty long too.
Pretty
so
long.
It might just be eBay Mini Rescues.
Ugh.
I honestly can't remember. I don't know. I whenever I post on Instagram, I push it to Twitter. And then some people will respond to those there, and then I go to Twitter to answer that, or whatever. But that's about my extent of Twitter. I don't tend to use it very often. I like Instagram a little bit better, just from the specifically picture sharing aspect.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Some people think that Twitter's the best one. So,
I don't know. I see how they all can have their place, especially if you do put them in a hierarchy. If I care about this one, I don't really care about this one, but I won't like make people's eyes bleed. And then this one is a literal journal. This is for me, and thank you for the 10 people who liked it, and that'll keep me going and make sure that I keep going with this hobby streak and post again tomorrow. So, but getting away from just talking about Twitter here, like I'm actually enjoying the trying to keep the streak going of saying like, okay, I got to do something on my hobby today. And a lot of times it is like kind of towards the end of the day, like, all right, what am I going to do? Yeah, let's sit down at the painting desk, put some paint on that brush and get to it. And I know a while back, John Nenus was talking about that was going to be his goal, his motivation. Every day, just put paint on the brush. This is just a variant of that. Like, have something you can tell to the internet accountability buddies out there that you've been doing something on your hobby.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I will give you a follow on that.
Nice. We can be friends. That'll be
going.
That'll be good. We'll retweet some stuff.
Friends on Twitter. Yeah.
Just so far so good on that. I also tried to, like, at the same time 2 weeks ago, I was also like, okay, I'm also gonna like try to fix my life in general, and I started a bullet journal that I kept up with for like 4 or 5 days. Started tracking calories, which I kept up with for like 5 days. But the hobby streak is still going strong, and that's the important thing. We'll work on the other stuff later. Can't fix everything all at once.
Right. Yeah. Focus on your hobby
Mm-hmm.
first. Right. The rest will come. It's
The
fine.
rest will come. All right, that's me. You got any more
Yeah.
updates for the world here, Casey?
I mean, I got a
Oh,
little
okay.
bit of one.
Out with it.
Um,
Out with it.
just a little smidge, right? Okay. So my wife, because my office, like we when we put the wall up, we split the room that we have back here. She has to walk through my office to get to her office now. So she's got to, see all of this stuff all the time. Not that she really didn't before, but, it was in a closet, right? Now it's all in her face all the time. So she expressed interest in actually painting something the other day. Um, I think I was just scrolling on Instagram, like looking at somebody way better than I am at painting. And she's like, oh, that's a nice, painting. Like painting, canvas painting. Like, no, no, no. This is not a canvas painting. And she was blown away, right? Go figure. So I printed out, 3D printed out a bust for her to paint. And she is looking forward to doing that. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that yet. If I'm going to film that and make a video or just see what she can do. But she was like really excited to paint a bust. Like, and she wanted to try hard on it too.
Right. So, like
Yeah.
a year ago, you had a video where your wife and your kid were painting minis, contrast paint sort of thing.
Yeah, my wife and my two nephews tested contrast paints like right when they came out.
Oh yeah.
The thing was, oh, these are so good for beginners, and it was like, okay, I'm gonna show them the videos, show them how it works, all this. Let's see if it is, and it's like it's not. It really isn't. Like, don't believe that.
Yeah, I was just thinking of like how would you frame it? My wife's first mini, but yeah, no, it's not.
That actually in that video, I showed her first mini, which I can probably get a picture to Matt to put up. So it's impressive, is why. Yeah, like her first mini, she painted a corn berserker,
Okay.
and I bought a box right when I was getting back into it. I bought a box of corn berserker, some paint, went for it, and I'm like, all right, I'm actually feeling pretty good. Like I'm way better than I thought I was. And then she goes and she's like, oh, I'll try that, and paints it, and it's like, fine. I guess I should just quit. Um, yeah, like it turned out really good. Like first mini ever, you know. So I'm kind of curious to see where she could take an actual bust.
Yeah.
Like do all of the things and blending and all the stuff. She's pretty artistic, so yeah, probably pretty good. So yeah,
Yeah, you might be able to make a little something out of that. I don't know if
yeah,
I would encourage her to like sit down in front of a camera and like you must record all the steps of you doing this. I don't that's not a ton of
no,
fun if you're
not
not like
anything like
really
that.
into that sort of thing.
Right? No, she could care less about that. No, I'd probably throw it in somewhere and just be like, oh yeah, I did this thing, and like, oh, here's my wife's. It's 10 times better than mine. She's been doing this, for 2 days.
Right, right.
So
That's a good segment. Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
What
Maybe
is
I'll
the bust?
see if I can get an update out at some point. I found it on My Mini Factory. I can't remember who the sculptor is, but it's this kind of old goblin looking guy. He's kind of got a pipe hanging out of his mouth, and there's a little toad on top of his head. I just look really cool, so yeah, I just printed it out.
Our Skype had a little bit of a problem there, Casey. So I heard the last thing I heard is just a little toe on the top of the head. But you know what? It sounds cool.
It's even
We'll go
better.
with it. Yeah.
Just a little toe.
Yeah.
A little toad.
You can tell me
Little
later
frog.
what it was. Yeah.
I just did.
Very good.
The powers of technology. Yeah, so that's the last thing I got, I think, before we really move into the main topic, which is speed painting.
Okay.
So why did we choose speed painting as a topic?
All right. Well, we were trying to think of a different topic for a video, and we were going to talk about we're going to have a little gimmick of what is your unpopular opinion, defend an unpopular opinion and I think you were saying like speed painting is stupid, and then we were like, wait, this is just a whole episode all on its own. Like,
Yeah, pretty much.
am I misquoting you there?
Let me just
Did you say that your opinion is that
No,
speed
I
painting is stupid?
definitely said that, but with a little more context,
Yeah,
speed painting is stupid only because like the actual I don't know, when people say, "Oh yeah, this is a speed paint," and it's like really good, it's not necessarily that it's a speed paint or that there's something to the amount of time that was given to that model. Like everyone is in a different place with their painting, right? So speed painting for somebody might just be a normal everyday kind of thing.
yeah.
Or
I
it
guess we
might
can
take
start with
someone
like, what does the
triple.
phrase mean? Where does it come from, and where do we
Yeah.
see it most often?
Okay. Well, let's see here. So the term speed painting just means that you are going to paint a model in either a certain amount of time or that it was quick enough that you can say, this is an above average job for the amount of time that I put into it. So if I'm going to paint a space marine, maybe to do like a pretty all right job, it's going to take me, and this is where it just gets weird, right? It might take me 3 hours to do something pretty cool. Might take somebody else 6 hours to do the same job. But either way, if it's less than my normal time to paint something, I can technically call it a speed paint because I was rushing myself, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. And it's also a little bit of a defense mechanism if you're showing off your army, or you're like, yeah, this was something I did as a speed paint. It's
Right.
it's good for a speed paint. So you can do it as a defense
Yeah.
mechanism, or you could also do it as like a weird humble brag of like, yeah, it was a speed paint. Like,
Yeah.
maybe you're lying, because it looks pretty good. But um,
Well, I think the best example that I've seen where and I'm not saying that it's a humble brag at all, but where the differences are. Um who's it? Marco Frazzoni, right? He does speed painting and he's like, "Yeah, I spent, 2.5 hours on this warband." And it's like, "No, you didn't." But it's like, "No, he really did."
right.
But it just looks so good.
Yeah, we'll definitely be talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and then there also is the literally having out a watch or a timer or something, and like
Mhm.
trying to beat the clock, or I don't know, like make a point, or impress
I
your
think make a
friends, or
point is
impress people on
a good
YouTube,
point.
or whatever.
Yeah.
So there definitely is a side of speed painting. There's a couple of versions of this that involve a clock and involve,
Mhm.
like starting and then stopping brushes down. How we doing? So
Mhm.
the versions of that immediately come to mind are, one, like us idiots on YouTube making a video of, I painted this or I painted this army in 24 hours, or I painted, this warband in 2.5 hours, or we love
Mhm.
Guy, but he does a lot of speed painting of, this mini from Blackstone Fortress took me 17 and a half minutes, or whatever the case may be. And
Right, yeah.
so there's definitely part of the YouTube algorithm that motivates that sort of thing. And
Mhm.
the reason we're kind of bringing this up is I don't think a lot of people do put a timer on their work at home. Like, if you're just trying to complete your
That's
hobby
true.
streak entry for the day, I don't think most people are starting a stopwatch and then taking out a primed mini and
Mm.
really sweating the numbers there.
Doing something with
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
But on YouTube or whatever, there's videos about the sharpest knife or the most expensive cheeseburger, or I don't know. Like, there's um, everything has to be the biggest or the fastest or the sharpest, or whatever it is. And so superlatives kind of drive clicks in some silly ways. And so I have certainly found that just having a big giant set of, lit up clock numbers in the background
Yeah,
of
the
a,
clock.
oh yeah, that it does what it does.
Yeah, I think we've all done that.
Oh, of course, of course. And we'll get to the legitimate reasons to speed paint here in a moment, but there definitely is this side of YouTube of speed painting, and I'll say that part of it is I think a lot of people are curious how long it takes to paint a mini, and especially like beginners just getting into the hobby, if they've seen the really awesome things that GW puts on the box, and they see what other people at the hobby store have for their armies, and they see tons of stuff online. And so I think there is this really valid question of how long should it take to paint a model. And
Sure.
A beginner who's just starting out and has their model halfway painted, and man, they've been at it all afternoon and it still doesn't look good, and you're getting frustrated, and how long is this supposed to take? And then seeing online somebody with a timer, and it's like orc troops 30 minutes per warrior, or whatever. That's there is some actual information there that's kind of cool to see. Like, okay, how long should this take, and how much effort are they putting into each step? And we'll get to this, but there is a ton to learn about painting techniques with this whole what do you want to call it, gimmick of speed painting, or style of approaching a project.
I mean, I suppose it's a little bit of both, right? Like there's a certain style to it of cutting corners and achieving something that looks nice. But then there's the whole side of it's kind of a gimmick, because again, what takes you half an hour might take me an hour.
Sure.
It just does, right?
Yeah, and trying to say that a model takes 3 hours or 30 minutes or whatever, it depends so much on the model, so much on the paint scheme, so much on the painter, that it's really hard to say. But when you see a video that says you can paint your orc lads in 15 minutes each, you're like, how are they doing that? What? Get out of town.
Yeah.
Like, what's this? And that tension in the brain, that question is what baits those clicks, and so there you go.
Yeah. But I mean, in my last video, I legitimately showed a section in that video was painting orc killicans in 15 minutes.
Boom. And so
it literally happened.
Yeah, there's useful information there, both in terms of someone being curious of, man, it seems like Casey paints a lot. How long does it take him to paint this army? Like there's information there in that sort of sense. There's information in the how is he doing this? And so there's merit. There's merit. But there's also just the silly clickbaitiness. And then let's move away from YouTube for a little while here. There's also speed painting as like real life competitions at a store, at a convention. And I have done that many times at Gen Con, actually. The first time I went to Gen Con, that was like my favorite thing. And then went back the second year for Gen Con, and I signed up for way too many speed painting events and burned myself out on it. But it's a way to do painting competitively, and almost any hobby, some people are doing it competitively and finding a way to get that extra rush and get the benefits that come along with trying to be competitive at something. And so this Gen Con speed painting, it was upstairs in the convention hall on the second floor. There's like a big long table that was set against a big bank of windows, and so there's a lot of natural light in that little part of the convention hall. And I think they set up like 20 chairs all in a row for people to come and sit. And I think part of the reason that it's speed painting is because it's nice and easy to block out hour-long segments for running these events at a convention. Like, conventions have events all day for every day of the convention, and hour blocks or 4-hour blocks or whatever. And these were hour blocks, speed painting sessions. And you go and you sit down and you pay your $2, and they give you a random mini, and then they start not a random mini, sorry, they know what the mini is beforehand, but like you have never seen it.
Yeah.
So if there's 20 people sitting there, the 20 people all get a copy of a weird Malifaux mini that's been hastily assembled and primed. And for Malifaux, right. I guess there's not a ton of options for like what can be put together easily, like they have so many spindly minis, but
right. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, but I got like, I don't know, Master U or something. Seems like a one-piece mini, but he's a cool mini.
Yeah.
He's probably retails for more than $2, but yeah, this actually was the genesis of Goobertown Roulette, was me having a good time at these speed painting things. But nice. Yeah, go, you sit down, you pay your $2, everybody gets a primed mini, and then they hit the clock and pick up your brushes and go, and you got like 10 paints in front of you, and they do it for 45 minutes so that they can reset in the remaining 15 minutes and get these going every hour on the hour sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a lot of fun to have that experience of, here's a mini you've never seen before. You hear your colors, go. What can you do? Do something awesome on this in 45 minutes. And it's you get that competitiveness, and so there's a little bit of like weird adrenaline there, which is not necessarily natural for painting.
That is kind of weird.
But yeah, but there's also the spark of creativity of like, okay, how am I going to make this cool using, I mean, I've got to be quick. I've got to use like really simple effects, and I've got to use like these nasty bottles of paint that have been out for 3 days of the convention already. And I can't remember if they put new brushes out every day or new brushes out like just on Thursday, and then by Sunday they're just not very good anymore.
Yeah,
but
that's an interesting thought.
Yeah, but the brushes, were not great brushes. They were, I think, one Happy Choice brushes, the classic brand of really cheap synthetics that you can get bags of 50 of on Amazon or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is the genesis of Goobertown Roulette. It's like, here's a random mini, go do something clever, and see if you can be more clever and talented than all these other people here. And you got 45 minutes. Let's see how it goes. And I had a ton of fun doing that. Partially just, the joy of getting a random challenge, and the fact like, oh yeah, this mini's definitely worth more than $2. I just suckered these guys, like going to this expensive convention and staying in a hotel did an hour's and flying worth of work here
for them.
Yeah, so I actually dragged out of my collection, I think I have 7 minis here that I did in a speed painting competition. 3 from 2018, 4 from 2019. And like the first time somebody hands you a chibi mini, and you're just like, oh, what is this? Like, oh no. Or just like,
that would throw me off.
Yeah. You got a freebooter. Like, what are you gonna do with this? Here's a little knight. So actually, one of the fun memories from last year or 2019 or whatever was, I did actually come in second place of one of the heats. I mean, they're running heats all day for all 4 days of the convention, but in one of these that I sat in on, I got second place for this little knight here. Maybe I'll give Matt a nice picture of it. He can blow it up. But
nice.
I painted a knight red. He's got red plate armor on, and I actually did a decent job edge highlighting with a little brighter red the plates, and he turned out all right. I got second place. And
That's pretty good.
right when they were announcing the winners, Uncle Adam from Tabletop Minions just happened to wander by. And so
Oh, really?
it was a perfect moment in time, Casey. It was I met Uncle Adam for the first time right when they were saying, "Which prize do you want? Which prize do you want?" Like I was super flustered, but like Uncle Adam saw me like choosing my black dragon. I got my black dragon here. This is the Ironwind Metals Ralpartha Classic Fantasy Black Dragon, and
Nice.
so it's pretty cool.
You turn over Uncle Adam, you're like, "Hey, what's up, man?
It's
Yeah,
the best
check out
painting
this,
prize I have ever
dragon."
won, and Uncle Adam witnessed it, and I got a selfie with Uncle Adam. So
Very
take
nice.
that, world.
Oh, man.
The small joys.
Last year, I went to LVO, and I was signed up for the speed painting. I didn't end up doing it because it was very poorly organized. Nobody knew where or when or whatever. But so like I saw people doing it. People get to do it. I was very disappointed because I was looking forward to doing that. Yeah. So maybe next time. I don't want to say next year, but next time.
It is fun. I will say that by the time I had done like 4 over the course of the second year at Gen Con, by the time I'd done like my 7th speed paint, I was like, okay. I mean, 45 minutes, like just the novelty had worn off a little bit, and it really is not the ideal way to paint a mini, but after a while you learn a couple of tricks to be done there. Like, okay, use fewer main colors, like the pants and the jacket are just gonna be the same color, and that's the way it is.
Right, made from the same material.
Yeah.
Like whatever it is.
I'm not carefully painting around the belts and stuff. Like, just the entire mini is gonna be blue, and then if I have time, I'll make the belt black. There's certain little tricks and rules that you teach yourself there, and the people who were doing really well had a really good technique for doing a lot of dry brushing on the minis and making them look really good, which makes total sense.
Yeah.
But there is this new skill learning that you can do in these sorts of things, which to a point is awesome. Varying up your routines is always a good thing to do. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, one of the biggest things that you end up learning, I suppose, is, yeah, like, what are the things that you can do that just cut time off things? Like, dry brushing is a very good technique. It's very effective and often kind of underutilized. Like, because there's I don't know if it's called, like, I don't know if I want to say it's a stigma that surrounds it a little bit, but I think there kind of is. Like, it's like dry brushing is used from first year to, end of first year of painting. And after that, dry brushing is never to be touched.
After that, dry brushing is for terrain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Terrain.
I think that's really true. Is that there is a lot you can do with dry brushing, and I'm also kind of getting back around to appreciating dry brushing and giving it another chance and seeing what I can do with it again. Mm-hmm. But it is a very powerful technique that can, just do all your edge highlighting for you in like 30 seconds if you know what you're doing with it. Yeah. It's a solid tool. Yeah. And, if you put yourself in a situation where you're not giving yourself 2 hours to do edge highlighting, but you are giving yourself a dry brush and 2 minutes to do edge highlighting, you can do some pretty cool highlighting with a skilled little dry brush there. And it's good to understand all the tools that you have at your disposal. And the look isn't exactly the same. The look of a dry brush highlight versus the look of painstaking hour by hour edge highlighting, it does have a slightly different look to it, but you may learn that you actually like the look of the dry brush more for some things. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I specifically go for it because it does look different. It has that kind of chalky, broken, uneven line depending on, where the paint builds.
mm-hmm.
So if it's like, well, this is a leather pouch, it probably looks like that. Like, makes perfect sense. The edge of a Space Marine shoulder pad, maybe not as much. Although, weirdly enough, the class I took with Peachy at LVO was speed painting Primaris Marines and using mostly dry brushing.
Yeah.
And that actually worked pretty well the way that he was doing it. It wasn't the normal way of dry brushing. So it was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Jealous. That sounds fun.
It was fun.
Mm-hmm. All right. So let's talk about quote speed painting at home. Let's say that you are not running a silly YouTube channel where you're timing your paints to put in a video, and you're
Right.
not at your game store in a painting competition. You're not at a convention in a painting competition. And again, I think part of the reason those like arose is just so that the people would finish their paint jobs and go home,
Right.
if a store just gives open-ended like come paint, which is something they do sometimes, but if it was a
They
come
do,
paint and also a little bit of a competition without a time limit on it, man, you'd have
Mm-hmm.
goobers hanging around your store for many
Yeah.
hours. Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen it. They're just like, oh, Friday's painting day. And it's like, you go in there and yeah, people have been there all day. They've like brought a suitcase with them, of all of their stuff.
Putting a timer on it gives a little bit of structure, makes it so that you can get some painters in there having a good time, getting some stuff done, and then they'll clear out before you
Yeah.
have to lock up the shop,
Yeah. But I just edge highlight this one. No,
Yeah.
get out.
Yeah. Man, I just had a memory of like teaching lab classes, and they're just like, the students need to go through their laboratory experiment, and there's 20 students in the class, and then like lab session is over, and there's one squirrely little dude in the back taking a melting point measurement on something, and he's just like doing the measurement in triplicate. Yeah, buddy, you gotta go. Like,
Yeah, lab is closed.
yeah,
There
this was
were
a 3-hour
more
lab.
than a few times.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And so sometimes you just need a giant ticking clock on the wall telling people that you got to wrap it up, buddy. Like yeah.
Yeah. Like you've got somewhere to be. Like regardless of whatever
Mm-hmm.
they're doing. Yeah.
Learning to work fast and under pressure is a good skill in life. It's all right.
That's true. Yeah.
So, all right, why? Okay, you're not at an event. You are not running a YouTube channel. Why do you speed paint at home? Why do people think they want to speed paint at home? Maybe start there.
I like that. It's yeah. I mean, I think what ends up happening is when you start a project and you're feeling really good about it, you're feeling motivated, and you start painting and, you get a guy done. He looks awesome, just how you wanted it to look. And then you look at your desk and go, I have 60 more of these.
There it is.
And that
right there.
is exactly, that is a terrible feeling to have. And you go, how do I do this better, faster? So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of it is out of necessity, wanting to finish the project so that you can then move on to another project. I mean, like so far in my painting career, if you will, the only time that I've ever gotten anything actually done, painting army wise, is imposing time limits and just sitting down and doing it. Like this whole orc army thing was, okay, I have to make a video by this day. Therefore, these have to be done. And that's that's what I set for myself to do that. That Stormcast army that I did was, I have 24 hours because this video has to go up and I'm selling it on eBay. It was a whole thing, right? So it's like, I have to get it done. There's just no choice here, you know? So, I mean, yeah, it's a lot of just wanting to finish your project.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Especially with, Warhammer and games like that, purposely making armies that are 100 models or whatever they are, like a lot of minis. And if you sit there and take your time and really get into it, it's 3 or 4 hours per mini, or, depending on who you are. It can be a goodly amount of time. And so,
very goodly.
Yeah, for the sake of either getting your gaming pieces done or just realizing that you've bought a lot of stuff and you should probably paint some of it up. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's when this, like, I want to learn to paint fast starts to become a real consideration for people. And I think a lot of it is driven by pile of shame kind of considerations. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that definitely makes sense. I do look at some of my models sometimes and go, like, I've got one more squad of this and that army is done. I should just sit down for 4 or 5 hours and crank out that squad. I'll be done. Like, it's definitely like, I guess, a trick that we can play on ourselves to try and finish and, feel good.
Yeah. And yeah, just this aspect of having a project open and hanging over you for a really long time. Sometimes it's just kind of fun to say this project is going to last the evening. Yeah, and
yeah,
I mean that's just the difference between binging a TV show and watching one episode a week over the course of the winter or whatever.
Yeah.
I certainly also enjoy the binge of just getting in there and watching all the Mandalorian at once instead of waiting 2.5 months to see what's going to happen to Mando,
So you're going to wait 2.5 months?
I literally have no choice.
Before you watch it?
I'm going.
I know.
No.
I know you don't have a choice.
I have no choice but to watch like 2 hours after it's released every morning when I wake up on Fridays. That's what you got to do.
Right.
But,
that's what I'm saying. Like, are you watching them or are you waiting? Yeah.
No, there's no way to wait. No, especially we're on the internet. Like, we're gonna learn. Like, if Baby Yoda dies and I don't watch it happen, I'm going to be very upset. Yeah.
When do you see that first? Anything on social media?
Yeah, I mean, it's like Ned Stark. Like the end of season 1 of Game of Thrones. Like.
Right. Spoilers.
The difference between having someone tell you that versus watching it or reading it in the books the way it was meant to be, like, is pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, there's something to be said for going from having an unpainted model to having a painted model rather than for the course of 2 months having a half painted model sitting on your desk. There's something nice about wrapping that up. Getting down, getting dirty, getting it done.
Yeah, especially if you're batch painting large groups and, it's like you get one step done. You're like, all right, cool, I got one step done. But, you follow through on the rest of them and you're just like, oh. I painted leather pouches on 50 models. Like, it looks like I didn't do anything and I've been here for 2 hours. Like, that gets old for sure.
I actually kind of enjoy that, but there's something to be said for finding a way to get those pouches done much, much faster.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before I forget here, there's this aspect of time is a precious commodity. We got to get this done. But there's also a little bit of pride in being able to do something awesome in a short amount of time. The artistry of it. So I can't help but think of like street artists, especially the ones who have their cans of spray paint out on the sidewalk and they're making like planets and galaxies and stuff. They've got like a couple of bowls that they use to shield their piece of paper on and they're they spray like white spray paint on their fingers and they flick it at the paper, and then all of a sudden it's a starry, and then like a couple of squirts of blue, and they've got a nebula, and
it looks good.
Yeah. So I love watching street artists because they can do really cool stuff really fast. It is an impressive skill. Bob Ross is the same way. Mm-hmm. It takes him 30 minutes to make an awesome landscape. That's what he does. And the reason, part of the reason it's so magnetic is because of how fast and skilled it is, and the way it all comes together. And there's a purpose behind everything there. And a lot of the skill of that man isn't that he painted the best trees, it's that he painted pretty cool trees really fast. And
that's true. The godfather of speed painting, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, the thing about both of these things that you're talking about, though, is that there are secrets behind what they're doing and things that they're not necessarily not showing you, but the fact of the matter is street artists have been painting the same landscape, same starry pattern with planets 5,000 times in order to get to that. So if you only ever painted orcs in your whole life, by the 5,000th orc, I'm pretty sure you could cut that time down real good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Bob Ross was interesting in that he and a team of people planned out those paintings, and then he actually painted 2 for every episode. He painted one before they did the episode. They planned out from there the steps that he would need to take, how they would script it. Then he would actually go in on camera and do the second painting. He was fresh off the first one. So it seems like he is doing this thing, but really he's just replicating a thing that he already worked out an hour before that. You know what I mean? So, like, you still have to put in the work to get there.
Right. And those examples we're talking about, they know the shortcuts. They've done the work to know the shortcuts. And I've heard like commission mini painters talk about this before, of knowing like where to highlight space marines. Like if you have a tactical marine and it is time to do the edge highlighting, the people who really do this for a living know that you don't need to edge highlight every plate. They know where the 10 most important little dabs of highlight color are, right? And they don't have to search for them. They know exactly where they are. Done.
Per sculpt, yeah.
And that is an acquired skill based on a lot of practice. It is still very impressive. It's awesome. It's useful. But that's a situation where they have learned the shortcuts for sure. And there is, a certain joy and awesomeness to knowing those shortcuts and being able to employ them effectively. Absolutely.
Yeah.
How do you get to that point, I guess? Let's talk about the learning that goes into forcing yourself to do some speed painting to acquire those skills. How does that go?
I think, just because we are the podcast we are, like, you do need to be brave about it. You need to go at it with the understanding that that like you have to just try it. You have to push and experiment and see what happens. And the more that you do that, put the reps in. Why are you laughing?
I'm just losing it over here. Check out Paint Bravely, the podcast on YouTube, and find us on Spotify and wherever you find your podcasts.
Everywhere. They're everywhere, Brent.
Yeah, you did it. Oh.
Podcast is going off the rails.
Now I'm laughing at this cat. Come on, Snuffles, get out of here.
Right.
Yeah.
Come on, like that wasn't gonna come up eventually, right? Like you got to do it. You got to.
Right.
You got to be brave.
Right. And so,
because you're gonna do a really bad job the first time.
Right. So let's talk about that. That's actually a very important point of you saying, I've got an orc boy here. I bought him for peanuts off of eBay, but I would like to get him painted up quickly. Let's, I don't know, let's see what these freaking contrast paints are all about. Boom, boom, boom,
There you go.
slap
Yeah.
that on. And then, like, I want to do like a dry brush here, but he's not quite dry. Yeah, let's try the dry brush before he's dry. Let's go. Let's see what's going on. Like,
Yeah. That can be an interesting outcome, and I've done that far too many times. Of like, I need to dry brush. I'm trying to be quick, and this wash that I put over this skin is not dry.
and what do you find when you do that, Casey?
Now, the thing is, you can get two different reactions out of this, right? So the first one is your base coats aren't dry either, and whatever paint you're layering over the top of that just ends up blending in all together, kind of makes a hot mess. Now, the second type of outcome that you can have is, say your Athonian camo shade over your orc skin is just a little bit wet, or there's a pocket somewhere, and say you're dry brushing with maybe, I don't know, a skin tone color like Cadian flesh tone. You want some of the skin highlights in there. Well, what ends up happening is the moisture gets into your dry brush and it creates a smooth blend over the top, almost kind of like a layering effect. Sometimes that's kind of awesome. And yeah, it's something that you're not necessarily just going to discover without just trying it.
Yeah.
And completely screwing it up, but then being, oh my goodness, happy little accident, right?
Yeah, we have that written here in our notes. Happy little accidents. Like,
Yeah.
it's real if you're, not giving things time to dry, or if you maybe you did give things enough time to dry and you're getting your dry brush ready, but you don't got 3 minutes to get all the paint off of your dry brush. You put the paint on the brush,
Right,
wipe it on the napkin 1, 2, 3 times, boom, onto the mini. That's not a real dry brush. That brush isn't dry. That's like an overbrush at this point. That's a kind of a heavy dry brush, which is its own thing and gives its own effect. But yeah, there's several techniques where you can kind of wander into accidentally of especially like accidentally wet blending or something like that.
right.
It's very easy to wander into that. And then when you realize that's kind of cool, you can purposely do that and really walk yourself into some learning, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have figured those things out unless you just decided whatever the outcome is going to be, I'm going to try something. Just going for it and seeing what happens.
Yeah.
And they're, especially eBay models, are definitely like primo models to try this stuff on, because I don't know, for me especially, I don't have as much of an attachment, I guess, to something I just randomly bought off of eBay.
Also, you turn around and sell it half the time anyway, so yeah.
Well, that's very true, yeah. Like, I don't have that emotional attachment to, the model or whatever's going on. Like, sometimes I do, because I wanted the thing, right? But it also kind of frees you up.
Yeah.
To just try new things, because it's like, what? I bought this off eBay. Like, I stripped the paint off. Like, even stripping models is like, that's the key that unlocks in your brain that says, yes, if I screw this model up, I can literally just strip it again and try again.
Right. Right.
So there's no reason for you not to try.
Yeah. If you decide that this model is going to be painted by the end of the evening or by the end of this Seinfeld episode or whatever, like, you have already written that model off. You said, like, in an hour, I'm going to stop caring about this model. So let's get to it. Let's see what happens. And I think that's, really valuable. Kind of distancing yourself a little bit there, not putting that up on a pedestal and really caring how it turns out. Like, so many of my projects have stalled because I've said, like, man, I don't know what the perfect paint scheme for this is, or maybe when the day comes when I can really freehand better or blend better or whatever, like, when I get the perfect color, I'll do this. If you're just gonna, no, we're getting this done. These are the paints I've got on my desk. I'm not going across the room to get my my other brown. Like the belt, the pouches, and the quiver are all beastie brown. Let's go. Like, yeah.
And I do that so often. And actually, just because I'm thinking about it right now, like, yeah, paint your leathers the same color because highlighting changes the color. You know, it doesn't necessarily matter. And if you want the leathers to be a different color, put an extra coat of wash over it. It will get darker.
Sure.
Like, you can change them after the fact.
Yeah. I'm reminded of George R.R. Martin again. I watch a lot of his interviews, and a question that he gets like every time is, how do I start writing? And his answer is always the same. He
Really?
always gets the same questions every interview, and he always has the same answers every interview, but I still like hearing him say it. But people will say, how do I write a series of best-selling low fantasy novels? And he'll say, write short stories. Write short stories. Do not start with a book. Like, do
Right.
your whatever you write first is gonna be bad, or whatever. Like, get in there, get something done, and then move on to the next one, and then move on to the next one. Like, part of the advantage of speed painting is that you're going fast. You are accomplishing finished models, and they're coming off of the little assembly line there, and you're putting the reps in. You're working through some stuff.
So let me ask you a question then. Would you say that your skill level as a miniature painter correlates to the time you put in, or how miniatures you end up painting over the course of however long?
Hell, both. I mean, I think it is valuable to vary how much time you spend on a miniature. I think it's
Sure.
I think there's a lot to be learned going at your normal speed, and there's a lot to be learned going faster, and a lot to be learned going slower and being really methodical and really taking it to your best. Like, yeah, there's so much value in working at different speeds, because you learn different things based on the limitations or the freedoms that you have. So I would say that I do not recommend that you only speed paint, but if you've kind of fallen into a rut and you're doing things the same way every time, then I think it's really valuable to say, tonight I am painting this dwarf start to finish.
Yeah.
Tonight this Imperial Guardsman is getting done, and so are his 4 squad mates. Like,
I really like I like doing that kind of stuff, almost like as a palate cleanser.
sure.
Like, you've been grinding on something, and you're just like, I just want the feeling of a finished whatever, and I just want to set it on the table and just look at it and be like, yeah, that's right, he's done, and I'm done with him. It's a good feeling, and it definitely, like, I mean, it gives you all those emotions, and I don't know, it just motivates you to want to keep going. For me, anyways.
Man, doing this hobby streak this week, I've gotten done like 4 minis in the past couple of days, and hey, that's actually pretty cool. Maybe I should do this more often. Paint more often. Yeah,
you should, and record it on Twitter. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But yeah, if speed painting also is just like a weird little motivational thing for you, like if you do that, get that little bit of adrenaline and excitement of saying like, can I do this? The challenge aspect of it.
Yeah.
For some people, I mean, I'm not recommending that you do this with the clock, but maybe like if the idea of putting an hour on the clock and hit and go and seeing what you can do, if that motivates you to spend an hour at your painting desk that you wouldn't have otherwise spent there, 100% a great idea. Do it. Have fun. Let me know how it goes. Yeah, tweet at Goobertown at GT_hobbies. And if I see it, I'll give it a heart. Look, we're learning. We're trying.
Right. We'll figure that out. Yeah.
Um,
You know,
but yeah, I don't know. Like
sometimes I do feel old. I know we're not,
overall,
but
speed painting, good
I
thing,
feel it.
bad thing. Where are we
I
landing on
mean,
this?
all right. So I guess I'll give my piece, and then you can fix it or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I like speed painting as kind of a means to an end, right? You want to get something done. You want to figure out how to, paint something for your army. If you want to get ready for a game, you want it as a palette cleanser, something to get you painting, to put paint on your paintbrush, to sit down at your desk, whatever that's going to take. If speed painting is that thing, then absolutely. I think you are going to learn things doing it. Um, yeah, like it's not the worst thing. Now, I don't like speed painting in terms that people say that this was a speed paint, and like the kind of connotations that brings, like, oh well, it's really good, so you can get this done in half an hour. It's like, no, like everyone is different. You're not necessarily going to be able to paint the same model in the same amount of time. So don't, even if you see either of us putting something in a video that says speed painting this thing, like I've done that before in my, I think, one and only speed painting video. Like that was my disclaimer. It's like, this took me 2.5 hours. This might take you 3 times as long, but here are the steps that I took to get there. Right? So it is speed painting from my perspective, but not necessarily from yours. So always take that with a grain of salt. But it's fun. You should try it.
Yeah, I think that's a fair place to land. It's kind of fun. You should try it. Like
It's fun.
I don't think it's like a higher calling or anything. Like I don't think that it's like a great thing to brag about of like, yeah, this orc only took me 15 minutes. Like
Right. Especially if it's derpy as hell.
yeah. Although that's kind of funny. Like I mean if you're a funny guy, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey noob.
Right.
Carl the orc over here only took me 15 minutes. You couldn't do this.
Exactly. That's that's our next collab, Brent. We're gonna do a I don't know, speed painting challenge, and the derpiest wins. Like the more derpy the better. You have to purposely speed paint it derpy. We'll call
There
it
might be a good
derpy
way to
speed
frame that.
painting.
There
Yeah.
might be a good way to frame that. Yeah. The couple of videos back, I did a Goobertown Roulette episode. It was a collaboration with Ribinator, who makes custom dice.
Yeah, the finger
And
painting.
yeah, finger painting. That's where we're going with this.
I'm sorry, I stole
And
your joke in my last video.
no, that wasn't entirely the punchline. No, that wasn't even the punchline. That was part of the setup. But thank you, Casey. Yeah, so custom dice maker, 3D prints, and then casts from those original molds. These dice, and one of the faces on the dice is a picture of a finger, and the whole purpose is like, this is the challenge die for Goobertown Roulette.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of painting are you gonna do? And I think he was making fun of painting YouTubers, like with the things he put on this die. It was
It
the
seemed like
only use one brush challenge, the paint without using a palette challenge, the finger painting challenge, and like I looked at this list, like, oh,
that's so
are we
good,
really
though.
that bad? Like, come on.
Sometimes,
Like,
yes, we are.
sometimes
Yes.
we are. Sometimes we are. You know.
I mean, come on, 24-hour like army, like, come on, really?
But I think, I mean, there is a line, and we are always right up on that line. But
that's true.
We
We're
don't
not
cross
finger
it too
painting.
often, do we? Do
Yeah.
we? This cat, I tell you.
I mean, I can't think of anything that directly crosses that line that we're actually being serious about, I guess.
Yeah.
Is a good way to put it.
Yeah, if we made a video, 10-minute speed painting Carl the Orc, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, you'd have to be real careful with the framing there. That could be just like the the dumbest YouTuber painting stupid thing. Yeah.
I'm sure it's out there.
I guess if you are really doing a satire of it, it's all right. Like
Right, that's what I'm
if it's
saying.
satire and the
Yeah.
people understand that it's satire.
Hmm.
If you're doing satire and people think you're serious, then you're making the world a
I mean,
worse place. But
according to some people on Reddit, that's my entire channel. Like that, it is
don't do it.
satire.
No,
Just
don't
saying.
do it. Don't don't go deep onto Reddit. Don't
Mm.
go deep into. Definitely don't go back into 4chan. Like
4chan is off limits. Reddit, like I get some useful information out of sometimes, only occasionally.
Trent from Miscast, just for context, keeps saying like, "Oh man, 4chan's talking about us again," and then he'll like give us a link to some just terrible
Yeah.
page.
Why,
Like,
dude?
Trent,
Why?
stop it. Stop doing this. Stop doing this to yourself. Stop doing this to us. Like, we know it's probably there, but we really
Yeah.
would rather forget about it. So,
Oh, 100%. I don't want to read those things. This is like,
no.
no, no.
Okay, so I guess the thing that we're missing here, Casey, is that sometimes the YouTube challenge
Hmm.
videos actually have good ideas and like a little bit of nugget of a lesson that you can take and then try for yourself.
Hmm.
So, you mentioned Marco doing his 2.5 hour war bands, or you've got
Hmm.
Guy doing his 30-minute Blackstone Fortress minis or whatever.
Yeah.
If you go and watch those little speed paint challenges, there are some cool techniques in there. Maybe some that you know to use, but maybe some that you haven't used before. And
Yeah.
so, using speed painting and the idea of like, okay, I'm going to try to do this fast, and then say, I need some new techniques. I need to learn some new tricks here if I'm going to do this fast. Go get an idea and then practice it. And because it is such a fast activity, by the end of the day, you'll know whether, I don't know, wet blending with null oil. I don't know, what technique do you want to talk about here? But you'll understand
uh,
whether the technique that
yeah.
you just saw on a video actually works for you.
Yeah. I mean, I think things like wet blending, because inherently, due to the nature of acrylic paints, you have to be quick with them. So, like, you can kind of see on certain models or, on certain types of things, banners, cloth, whatever, like how to do those things. So, yeah, I mean, there are definitely techniques that are useful, you know, and
Yeah.
there are plenty of good speed painting videos out there. Like in my own personal speed painting type videos, I usually use things that are like an oil wash, right? It's like here's a thing that does the thing that you want it to, but with a little bit of flexibility so that you can go faster or to do other things with that. It's like using the products that you're used to, just not in necessarily the ways that you're used to using them. So it definitely just kind of opens the box and gives you new tools. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, you give yourself the freedom of saying, I don't care about this model. It's going to be done painted in an hour. Tell yourself that I am trying to go fast on this. I need to use some new techniques, and let's see what this streaking grime does, or let's see what
Exactly.
this weathering pigment does, or yeah, whether you're using just a new technique or you're also using new materials and a new technique. Like you're gonna get that practice in by the end of the evening, and you're gonna see whether you like it or not. And so
Yeah.
it can be a really quick way to learn. Um,
Hmm.
the the time commitment to try out a new skill that you saw on the internet is really low by definition. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I think not necessarily caring about the outcome, knowing that it's more about the learning experience and trying something new, you'll find yourself using a lot more products, like pigments that you wouldn't necessarily do. Like you just painted that badass tank with the dwarf in it, and you used pigments and like some oil washes or oil paints, like things that I
Hmm.
I don't see you do very often. Not that that was
Right.
speed painting, but still, like things that you wouldn't necessarily do. You could experiment.
Yeah. anytime that you're pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, and in this case, you're trying to work fast, so you're trying to use new techniques and new materials. But anytime you're trying to use new techniques, new materials, that's always a good thing to jump in the deep end and give it a try. And just the extra bonus here is that these techniques are supposed to be fast, so you'll learn something about them pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then, other things like just, watching a speed painter throw on highlights. If you learn, like, what, you can highlight a face by just like cheekbone, nose, depending on the face, that might actually kind of look okay. Like, there's little techniques like that aren't a new material or anything. It's just like, okay, we're not mixing up a ton of highlight colors. We're getting one highlight color and we're being aggressive and we're just dabbing it on real fast.
Yeah.
Sometimes I see that old Sam Lenz working with his big old Sax Optimum Golden Taklon brush, and he's highlighting some scales or something. And I mean, he's not doing a speed paint, but he works fast and he just throws on highlights very quickly. Yeah.
So there are obviously a lot of different things you can learn in speed painting, and I think the takeaway is that you need to just try and have fun with your painting and not necessarily worry about the outcome. And that's kind of the gist of it. You need to paint bravely and have a good time.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I know.
But you're right.
Yeah.
Huh? You're right. Yeah. You're right.
You're killing me, man. And on that note, thank you again for joining us on another episode of Paint Bravely. If you enjoyed this podcast, please help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, subscribing to the YouTube channel, and sharing this message with your hobby friends. And as always, we appreciate each and every one of you for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
Talk to you next time. And leave a question if you want. We'll maybe get to that.
Yeah, you should, down in the comments.
Your hobby questions.
Hobby questions.
Ask bravely.
Specific. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. See you next.
You know what to do. Okay, so the thing that we're kind of missing from this discussion is the silly YouTube speed painting YouTubers, whatever. Actually, sometimes there's... Let me start again. I can't even talk. There's a cat digging in litter right now, and it hasn't made up its mind, so this could go on for a while. Casey, give some words of wisdom while I edit out this cat noise.
You're going to edit out this cat noise live?
I'll edit it out later, but you need to talk now, Casey.
Right. You're killing me, man. Let's see here. Mine cut off.
What?
Yeah, I don't know when it died.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I don't know what the hell. Like, I literally took the battery out of the charger, put it in. Son of a
bitch. That makes my day, though. I'm happy about this.
Does it? Little shot in Freude.
So bad. I'm so tired.
I can tell. Oh. There's going to be some good stuff in this one.